What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? It's another lovely day, another The Trailer Talks. It's your boy, Jeff.
I'm Will.
I'm Will. Nice to meet y'all.
Will, look at your camera.
Oh,
Look at
shit.
that.
So we got Quan over here
Quan's
as well.
over there. Quan's going to be chiming in off mic,
Navigating.
as he always does.
All the electronics.
Yes,
You
sir.
didn't say what's up, Quan?
Jeffrey always talking shit.
Oh,
You look
that's
like
true.
third
You
year
can
marshal
yell
over
what's
there.
up. You can yell hey. That's all good.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? You'll notice something a little different as well. If we will move his... Oh, that's my water, actually. We
Don't
got
gain
the-
your water, my bad.
We got the fist over here. We represent for the people. Yeah, that's about it. I'm sure we'll get into that later as time proceeds. For now, though, let's start with the drink of the day. We got some Pacifico.
Jeffrey told me I might like this.
You're gonna like
it's
it,
a
man.
Mexican
It's a Mexican
beer.
beer.
You know,
Mexican
I gotta
beer?
look for the percentage.
We should have brought some limes in, boys. Some
Sorry,
salt.
man. Sorry, man.
What's the
Slacking.
percentage of this thing?
Is this thing on?
That's it on the
How do I know it's on?
You trust me?
Yeah, you can.
Have faith in my engineer, right?
Correct. Sir. Oh, Will brought his own.
The exclusive Harley
Well, I have
Davidson
one on the
bottle
keychain,
opener.
but my keys are in there.
All right. Take one. Did you want one?
He can't
Okay,
drink.
so figured I'd ask.
Non-alcoholic.
All right, boys. All right, that's cool. Jarrell
This
said,
son of a bitch,
"Screw
right?
you guys."
I know.
Oh, my
They
bad.
didn't do
Give
it
me a
again.
post.
There
I
we
was
go.
anxious to try this, which I actually do like this a lot.
You like it?
Yep, I love this.
Tastes
beer.
like a Medela.
I love it.
Ooh, it's
Loves
not
it.
bad.
There we
It's
go.
not
bad
the
at all.
it's not the exact same, but
No, for sure. It's got a little bit more.
but I like it nevertheless.
Yeah.
It's not as carbonated as I expect, which is good.
It's an interesting judgment of a beer. It's not carbonated.
I don't like that, when like you drink a bunch of Bud Light, right?
Sure.
It's all carbonated and bubbly.
It gets all
Gets you all
bubbled. You want to
bloated.
throw
Yeah,
up.
yeah. You know what I mean?
You feel bloated.
You do. No, I like it too. I've never had it as well. Will, have you ever had a
No,
Pacifico?
no, it's pretty good.
First time. I know I'm gonna end up really having a few of these.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Shit.
I felt bad, man. I feel like the last couple of times, always something you hate, and then you just end up drinking your gin. Well, we all enjoy the beer of the day. So I
Or
wanted to
Modelo.
really get something that you were gonna like.
I'll
And I
pull a
feel like
Modelo
we-
out.
Feel like we did it. Well, good stuff. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week?
Been
Good so
good.
far.
And working. The essentials.
Essentials.
Damn
Yeah.
straight, man.
Will, you're an essential too, right?
Both ways. I build great ships at the shipyard, and I'm a volunteer firefighter on the side.
Oh, that seems pretty essential.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Firefighter who needs to learn how to park his truck.
Don't tell me about that.
Can't park work for damn.
See,
Taekwon had to swerve around it.
if you hit my truck, that's a good old country ass whooping.
William, if
You
you're
ain't gonna
gonna
do
drive a
shit.
truck like that, you
You
gotta
gotta
know how to
move
park
it.
it. You got to know how to park it.
Old boy has that like metal
Know
gate
how
coming
to
out,
move
right?
it.
And if I were to drive past that and scratch the whole side of my truck, I'd probably beat that old dude up.
Like you can't move up.
The trash can's on the way. You want me to hit the trash cans? We're adults.
Well, not moving up. You just kind of need to
Kind of.
Just
edge
a
it
little
over.
closer.
Well, I
You gotta parallel,
Your
man.
trash cans didn't get dumped. And today's Wednesday.
Oh, that's true. What's up with that?
Mhm.
No, they did. They're
Um,
empty.
I'm
They're
pretty sure
empty.
they
It
did.
smelled like shit when I was walking by.
You
Well,
sure you
that's
didn't
just
smell
this
your breath,
neighborhood
Taekwon?
take long.
Yeah, it might just be the neighborhood.
It's probably me today, man. I got a little something going on, Ro was
Nah, that's just
talking
Will's
about
up.
earlier, but was nice enough
Yeah,
not to
you
say on
had
the
to.
podcast. But I'll do it.
You had to call yourself
Got a
out.
little something going on, man.
Bo.
Had to move all this equipment, man. It's a tight little trailer. Got the light
I
blaring
don't
on
know
me.
if you said you were outside. Were you outside today?
I was outside
It
a
was-
little bit.
it was
yeah.
hot as
It's
shit.
hot
Yeah,
as
it was
crap,
shop-
dude.
it was hot in the shop
Fucking
today.
shop.
See, shop life, building great ships every day,
Yeah.
man.
I don't know nothing about that.
Fixing
More power to
cars.
y'all.
Nope.
More
I
power
just
to
know
y'all.
about bank stuff.
Thanks.
Bank stuff
Actually, well, credit union technically, but
counts. It's a bank, right?
How
Do all the same bank stuff.
banks and credit unions are different.
Well, it's just it's the
One
same
is for
thing, but
profit,
one's
one is
cheaper,
for
right?
not.
Yeah, for the
Offhand, I
same
definitely-
services.
Definitely need to talk to you about your knowledge on stocks offhand.
You said stocks?
Stocks, yeah. Investing.
Oh, investing. You would go
Yes,
to somebody
sir.
from like a financial. You need like a financial advisor
Mhm.
for that. But I always looked into mutual funds.
Mhm.
Like mutual funds are really good because you got like a collection of stocks that you can.
Low risk, high reward.
Like, I'm thinking Carnival. Right?
Carnival, yeah, we were looking at that today.
Oh, I was thinking about buying a Carnival stock. I think it's
Will
like
just
what
got in at
13 right
16,
now.
Right?
They're at 17 right now.
17. It was 13 the other day, if
Dude,
I'm
they're
not
gonna go
mistaken.
up fast. Like,
Fuck.
I was lucky
I
enough
should've
to get in
got
at
on.
15. Didn't buy as much as I wanted to, but I'm in there.
I might just
So
throw
we'll see what
100 down
happens.
and just call it a day.
That's what I do, man.
That's all you really need.
Throw 100
Exactly.
down.
I think I looked into El Dorado. El Dorado has
Okay.
gone up a little bit since we last spoke about it.
What were they at before?
Weren't they at what, like 20 something? But
Yeah,
Rob said they
something
were way up.
He got in at like 12.
What's
like
El
something
Dorado?
ridiculous.
It's
Um,
resorts.
Yeah,
Ooh.
like a
It's like a
company
line of
that owns it.
resorts.
So right now, vacationing is the time to buy.
Yeah, because forever nobody was vacationing for obvious reasons.
Nobody's vacationing
Oh,
even now.
Sure, but give it a couple months, man, people be back
Hopefully,
out
if the Rona passes. Hopefully, I think it's the end of the world, man. I mean, we're at the sixth
Yeah?
level of
You
Jumanji
on
right
that
now.
one?
We're entering phase 2
On
of the
Friday.
reopening on Friday.
there. Yep.
So
Alright.
gyms will be open 30% capacity, restaurants 50% capacity.
That's crazy.
And
dude.
they've changed the limit from like the people 10 per building to 50.
percent.
I mean,
50%.
what about the second wave?
No, no,
The
50
Spanish
people.
flu?
Really?
Yeah, but they still have to
In
be.
general?
But they're still
Okay.
abiding. So it has to be. Basically, it depends on the building.
Sure.
So
Okay, I got you.
know, if
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
small building,
Se-
everybody still has to maintain 6 feet.
Mm.
You know, you can't have everybody bunched
Like I know
together.
restaurants were 50% capacity.
They're spreading it around. Yeah, so
Yeah.
like instead of having everybody booth to booth, you might have
Mhm.
booth,
Booths, you get-
2 empty booths, and then somebody
Right.
else. They're spreading it out.
We'll see what happens, man.
I think it might be too soon, man. I think we should be expecting the worst after all this. Like, we have no way to stop the Rona yet.
I mean,
It's not the Rona we're worried about now. It's these damn riots.
all right,
Oh,
moving right
boy.
into it. Right into it.
Oh boy.
And don't get me like the protests are really good.
Yeah.
Like I like and it's peaceful in the daytime for a lot of places, but it's when night comes, people just know they can get away with shit.
Did
so.
people
Sure.
start acting a fool?
And that's
or-
not even the same people.
not the
Normally,
people
it's people that
involved.
just come in
Yeah.
and start doing crazy
What's
shit.
that one group? Antifa or whatever?
Antifa.
Antifa.
Anti-fascism.
Yeah.
I think they're part of the problem here. I think they come in.
You
and-
think Trump was saying that on his
Yeah.
Twitter?
He just declared them officially a terrorist organization.
Now I wouldn't go that far because I don't think the KKK.
He, no,
are
like he
terrorist
actually
shit,
said
He
that.
did. They're considered a
he
terrorist
actually said it.
organization,
right?
right?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, then.
So,
I guess that's fair, right? All's fair.
but I don't know
I
how
don't
you
know
can.
enough about that.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know a lot about it either. But if it's anti-fascism, right?
Mhm.
How can you declare something that's anti-fascism terrorist group? I don't know.
Well, I mean, just the main thing is that I know there were some cells of them that were they were taking their agenda and making it a little bit on the violent side.
Yeah.
But they always seemed like isolated incidents. They didn't seem to represent the whole group. But again, don't know too much. I just know a couple stories.
Bro, they fucked up New York.
Dude, have you seen what the
Badly.
police were doing, man? Like,
You're talking about how they were breaking stuff to make it look like it was the protesters doing, and they apparently they were leaving pallets of bricks
I
out.
heard about that.
Yeah.
Have you seen there's videos, man, like people just walking away from police, getting maced from the back. Little girl got maced. I mean,
did you see that video of in
Why would you bring your
Minnesota?
kid to that shit at
that's a
night?
dumb
You
part.
gotta
Yeah.
teach
Well,
them.
was it in the
You gotta
daytime
teach
or
them.
was it night?
that was a daytime one.
Okay, I was about to
Did
say.
you see the one of the oil tanker that like drove through?
I
And then
read
they
a little
came
bit on
and they
that.
ripped the guy out of the
I don't
truck.
think he meant to be on the interstate. I think they closed the interstate while he was
Oh, I
already on
did
it.
see that.
There's no way he
The
drove
craziest thing
They
though,
ripped him
the-
out of
yeah,
the car.
that was the crazy.
Or the
And
truck,
then
rather.
when the cops showed there, they showed up and they were just spraying mace, like dispersing the crowds. And like I just saw one dude just toss a water bottle at a cop and hit him right in the face. And then they looked at each other for a second, and then he booked it and he got away. And I thought that was crazy. Like imagine that, tossing a water bottle, clocking a cop, looking at him for 2 seconds,
But
and then
beyond
running
that,
and getting
it's the
away.
amount of the amount of shit that people are doing. Like on normal circumstances, if you were to go up to any building, break the window, go inside and steal a bunch of shit, imagine what would happen to you in a regular situation. Now, I was watching lives the other night of like the riots or protests
Sure.
turned riots, I guess.
Sure.
And people were just going ham, especially in DC because everybody was near the White House. If you went into the city, basically everybody was just it was a free for all. All the media was there on their Facebook lives, and you just see people just fucking shit up.
Grand Theft Auto, right?
Went into the liquor store, started taking all the bottles, and
Why?
it was fucked,
Why?
man.
How about you hit something important? You know, if y'all go down to the Bass Pro Shop, Daddy can use a new boat. All right, y'all can rob all the liquor stores, everything you want. But come on,
How
do
you gonna
something
get that
important.
boat out?
I had a truck, man. I'll drive right through the window like everybody else is
See
doing.
what they fucked the Macy's up.
See? Come on.
DTLR got burned down. They even burned down a Popeyes, from what I saw.
It's very important, and I know we made that distinction earlier, but it is like it's not the protesters. You know what I mean? It's two things. It's the hold up. I'll let you
Yeah,
speak
go
your
ahead,
piece,
go
but from what I could gather, it seems like there's a bunch of people that just want to cause trouble, and this is an excuse, right? So it's like, hey, if I join with these protesters, I can start breaking stuff, and then I can have fun. And then aside from that, at least from friends of mine who are in the protests, the story always seems to be that they're kind of being peaceful for the most part, and then they're being antagonized by the police.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I haven't been down there, so I can't say, but that's the
Yeah, you
that's
can't
the story
really say
I'm
because
hearing. For
it's
sure.
almost like you really have to be there.
No, for sure. For
But
sure.
at the same time, I don't know, like the fact that everybody's been on lockdown and like everybody,
Sure,
like you know what I'm saying. I
definitely.
think
People
that
are
has a
out.
lot to do with it
Tensions are
because
high
when you're
right now.
inside for that long, and a lot of these people lost their jobs, their businesses. That's no excuse, but I'm saying that might be a
Tensions
big
are high,
contributing
for sure.
factor.
Tensions are very
to,
high, for sure.
People
But-
are probably just pissed, and it was more of a social thing. Like clubs are closed, bars are closed, so people are just coming out like this is an actual event. At least the malicious people are just coming out like this
Sure.
is some sort of social gathering rather than a protest. I don't know.
Right.
It's fucked, man.
But that being said, there's a lot.
They're ruining the message.
There's definitely a lot to be protesting about. You know
What-
what I
what
mean?
gets
This
me
is the message.
Exactly.
Not
is black people wouldn't burn down a damn Popeyes. Let's be honest. A Popeyes chicken.
I don't know.
like,
Did
come
you hear
on.
about the Trump donation? Apparently Popeyes donated to Trump.
Was it Popeyes? I
Really?
know Wendy's.
I thought it
No, no,
was-
Wendy's
that, for
did,
sure.
but Twitter started just going off on everybody. So Popeyes was on that list, and it was like a bunch of different big businesses that they were exposing for donating to Trump. And Popeyes put out a statement basically saying we'd be nothing without the, the black customers. Or they didn't say that word for word, but they were basically
got you.
saying they were thankful for
Right,
black people to try to cover their ass. I don't know.
It's one nice scapegoat, isn't it?
The weird thing, I don't see why this is a political issue. Like, I see that it is. I don't see why it should,
But well,
like it is. Like, what's the
from
justification?
what I understand, I don't know which governor it was. There was one of the governors was basically saying that Trump created this atmosphere, which I say quotes because that just depends on who you are.
Sure.
But
It's loosely.
yeah, like they're saying that he created this whole racial atmosphere and the
I mean,
tension from the moment he was elected.
Even as a conservative, he's fanning the flames for sure. You know what I mean? For sure.
Yeah.
My issue wasn't even so much the his politics. It was more so like after all this stuff was happening, he did not give a good response. Like a normal president would have went on
No.
and tried to comfort the people, at least gave us some reassuring news. But this man,
Declared
I
war.
mean, we were almost at World War III. What? Beginning of the year.
well, he wasn't saying anything at first. He was just
Sure.
on his Twitter account just saying
Yeah,
random
yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
That's not what.
There was
presidents
no
do.
address. There was now. That being said, there was an address recently. I didn't see it, but I know he did say something.
No, I did see that
Okay,
one, and that's
there you go.
basically when he said he would bring in the.
Okay, so that's what we're talking
He said if
about.
any
Yeah.
governors are failing to maintain order in their state, he's going to send in the military to do the job for them. And people took that as like martial law.
Like
was
martial
gonna
law,
happen.
another civil war.
Which that might happen. What was it? Washington D.C. has what, a 6 p.m. curfew, and there was another state we were talking about the other night that has a fucking 4 p.m. curfew.
No, doesn't Virginia Beach have 8 o'clock?
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Richmond has
And
one
Richmond
too. I don't
has
know
one.
what it is, but they have one as well.
Yeah,
Hampton.
Hampton
he's
got-
right.
oh,
It's Hampton and Virginia Beach. Those are the two ones
Yeah,
with
your
the.
curfew was 8 o'clock.
Well, I'm essential, so they pulled me over. I got badges.
Plus, he's a firefighter.
I got badges.
So I mean, they're gonna let him get away with it.
You know what's crazy?
Regardless.
So we've all talked. People know I'm not a fan of Ralph Northam, but I thought he did something really cool. Trump basically came to all the governors asking for them to send National Guard troops to D.C. to like take down the protesters, and Northam just straight up refused.
The same man that
He made a whole address saying, "I don't agree with what the president's saying. There are issues here that we need to deal with. One of them is not militarizing the state."
This is the same guy that enacted stay-at-home
Well,
laws.
Virginia's also not as bad. We have not had all this crazy
No,
shit going
absolutely.
on. Virginia Beach had that one occurrence a few nights ago. Actually, it was more than a few, but it's not as widespread throughout the state. Like, you can't punish the entire state of Virginia for two cities doing some mayhem.
Sure.
The oceanfront was torn up.
But Ralph Northam, the same guy that God damn it,
They did
took on-
repair it,
hell
and
up.
they started a GoFundMe for it for a lot of the small businesses.
He enacted a stay-at-home order, right? What was it, like a week or two later? We got red flag laws and one handgun a month. Like that was strategically planned because we couldn't protest that like we did in the beginning of the year. Remember that?
What are you talking about?
The Boogaloo. Remember the everyone
he's
The
talking
protested.
about-
Boogaloo is different.
He's talking about he passed some laws.
I'm
some
talking
gun
about Ralph-
restrictions
yeah.
during the Corona
During-
stuff.
You're talking about the
because we
red
couldn't.
flag
How
laws?
he slid that under the rug while we couldn't protest.
Well, I mean, I can't really be mad at that.
I mean,
That's
that's-
just
Okay,
smart
yeah,
policy
yeah. Well,
making.
It's
You know what I mean?
dirty though. It's dirty
I mean,
regardless.
It is pretty
it's all
dirty.
dirty. It's all dirty. Yeah. That
But
being said,
no,
I disagree
I
with
was
it,
about to say
but
the Boogaloo is like a whole. Explain to the people what the Boogaloo
from a
is.
true boogaloo. Please
What
go
is the
for it.
Boogaloo?
And speak to your camera.
Because we were having this conversation the other day, me and Ben.
Y'all don't know what the Boogaloo is?
No, he was asking me what it was, and I don't know how to describe the Boogaloo. I
Tell
don't
the
even
people
I don't
your
even
best
know what it
words.
is.
Beginning of the year, the Boogaloo was kind of enacted because everyone thought, oh, they're going to take our AR-15s, they're going to take our guns, everything we have will make us felons. So it was kind of like we're going to protest or fight back, or if they come to take our stuff, this, that, and the other. It'd be like a small civil war almost, an overthrowing of the government. And it was kind of serious, kind of meme-based. But then, when you saw that Boogaloo that happened at the beginning of the year, I mean, they had a guillotine, bunch of guys
They had
armed
the
up.
guillotine out in one of the states for these protests.
Guillotine.
And I do protest because it was at night, and they had a guillotine out there in one of these states.
So
Those
you
are
bring
Boogaloo
up
boys.
that's a really good
Yeah.
that's an interesting point to think about. So you remember when the whole beginning wave of this whole gun control stuff started happening, and there was a huge protest in Richmond. where people came, guns literally blazing, like literally, it was an open carry thing, right? So people came in M16s and like all the. We
Yeah.
could talk about that, but nothing happened. You know what I mean? It was a peaceful, normal protest. As soon as a bunch of African American people start getting together, now
It's a problem. I know.
right. My
That's-
point is, and I'm saying that on the fact of the people that are
Plus-
controlling the protest,
plus
not on the protesters themselves.
Medial betrayal. Like I saw one
Sure,
image, they were
absolutely.
talking about rednecks protecting a store from looters, right? That same picture, there were 2 white guys and 2 black
Oh,
guys,
the-
but
yeah,
they
I
would
saw
cut the
that
black
one.
guys out.
Mhm.
I'm like, the media is evil. They just want to make, they're
Sure,
trying
absolutely.
to split us, racially wise. So
Well, if you think about it, before this, that's always been a thing.
it always has.
Sure,
That's
absolutely.
always been a thing.
And we're in a time now to where we can prove it. You know what I mean? With camera phones and all that kind of stuff, we're in a position now to where most people understand that. And it's just being smart enough to know that and then not continue to believe what
Yeah.
you're saying.
You
Like with
can't
social
believe
media and
everything you
everything.
see on social
Right.
media either.
And I think we're getting to a point where people are smarter about that.
What'd you say?
Do you blame them for burning down the police department?
Which one? A lot of them
The
burnt
one
down.
in Memphis, like the first one that ever burned.
Memphis, or you mean Minneapolis, right?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
So here's the thing. I don't think any of us want to condone any kind of violence or destruction
No,
of
not
property,
necessarily.
but you bring a good point.
But like, put it
If
this
you're
way.
protesting, including violently, don't harm the businesses.
Yes.
Know who you're fighting against.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm
But
not
at
going
the same
So I'm not
time-
condoning it, but
No, I mean
that's the war you're fighting.
But at the same time, they're attacking all the wrong businesses.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. The police department
the
is
point.
considered a part of the enemy.
We
in
ain't
this
talking
case.
about that enemy. We talking
what I'm
about the
talking
biggest
about.
enemy of the world.
what?
I ain't gonna say because I ain't trying to get us kicked off. So I'm gonna shut
You're
the hell
talking
up.
about what? Pharmaceutical? The president? What are we doing here, bud?
I think he's talking about the president.
No,
That's what
I
he's
ain't talking about the president. I'm gonna just shut the hell up.
Taekwon, we're just a bunch of average Joes in a trailer. If they wanted to kill us, we'd have been dead by now. Put it that way.
I was gonna say, how come they don't attack the IRS building and stuff?
You know? That's a good point. The tax man.
I saw a comment on Facebook that was saying, from some random black dude on Facebook, he's basically saying to burn down the child support building because he was late on his payment. So you could joke about stuff like that, but it's not like you're serious about it.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, but like...
that's funny as shit. Though.
Taekwon's got a point, though. Like, I mean, the only thing's guaranteed in life is death and taxes. Regardless. You know, you be rich, you still
The
pay
main,
taxes.
the main
but-
thing, and again, none of us are condoning burning down any
No,
buildings.
no, we're not
but
condoning
if
that.
you're gonna burn down a building, don't burn down a local business.
Don't
burn
burn-
one that you consider to be part of the
Like
problem.
the African American firefighter that spent his whole life
First of all,
savings in a bar.
I don't think we should be worried about saying
Yeah.
anything about burning down because first of all,
we're-
we haven't done anything, and second, the amount of people burning down the shit is ridiculous. But some good came out of it. They pulled up. Well, I don't know how you feel about it because I know you're really funny about something.
when they destroyed that fire truck?
No, not that. The Confederate
Oh
memorial.
yeah, the statue came, or the statue's coming.
How do
up.
you
I don't
feel
know if it
about
came
that?
up or not yet.
I don't really care for it. I think it's kind of...
Because I know you. Well, you were talking about the history at one point.
There is history to it.
So do
it's-
you feel as from a history standpoint, do you think that it's bad that they're taking down the monument for the Confederacy?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, because then we'll forget about it. But then at the same time, is it worth forgetting about it, or should we remember it so it never happens again?
But do you think there should be a monument for it?
Because I'm gonna put a point against your argument there because it's not forgotten about because you go to a museum.
It's
of
also
Civil
in the
War
history
history,
books.
It's still
You cannot-
there.
it's
but
in every
not-
history book.
Like we still learn about Hitler, but we don't have a statue of him because that's memorializing.
Got a
dude.
good point.
You know what I mean?
Well, I
That's-
think
that's a weird one.
history is learned and taught so we don't forget
Exactly.
and history doesn't repeat itself. A lot of the people compare things like this to the Holocaust, things that are happening. I don't know why they would make such an extreme comparison, but they compare it because when the Jews were oppressed, they were pushed into their little parts of their city, right? And then they started having to identify with the Star of David.
Right.
And then it was a slow process. They took away their gun rights.
Sure.
So people, when things like that happen with the gun rights, people try to compare it to the historical events to try to.
And
Kind
historically,
of leverage their balance, but I mean, it would make sense.
It's to prove a point. They
Yeah.
try to point out a pattern.
sure, right.
But I don't
And
know.
If you look at like some of the pictures and videos and stuff that are coming out of the stuff happening today, and then you look at like MLK marches and like the water and hose and all that stuff, some of the pictures don't look that different, man, and it's kind of
Yeah.
sad.
Well, I said the same thing. I said something in defense of Martin Luther King because I was basically saying with the rioting and stuff going on, Martin Luther King was peaceful about it, right? But and he made a big change. But people, Bailey commented on my status when I did the comparison. It said
Old
he made
Bailey?
a change and he was peaceful. All these rioters aren't going to do anything. She said, well, he was assassinated anyways.
That's true.
Which I was kind of offended at first, but then I thought about it,
Right.
and I was like, well, that's true. He was very peaceful, and they killed him.
I heard a quote. I don't remember who said it.
But they also killed Malcolm X, didn't they? They killed Malcolm X.
I don't know.
Can we-
Hold on,
can
let me
we
look it up
that
because I might be wrong. I
Let's
don't
be for
know. Let me
sure.
look it up.
I mean,
real
I
quick.
wouldn't doubt it. Just based on
Anyone of any importance with
You're
color.
Right,
is probably
that's what
dead,
I
right?
figured.
Okay.
I'm not too
So,
brushed up on my history,
on
but I'm
that-
pretty sure he was killed.
On that topic, though, too, you got to think about that was a long time ago, right? And we're still dealing with the same issues that he was peacefully fighting. the
but
fight.
But-
they were way different.
No,
there was
absolutely, but my
also
point
there
is-
was also colored bathrooms and
see.
white
No,
bathrooms.
absolutely, but it's
way
still
back.
not.
It's-
I think the thing
We're in a way better place now than we were back then. But the issue is people try to say that we're not there yet.
right. That's exactly.
We're
what it
not
is.
to the point of
So
true
there's a quote
equality yet.
that I heard. I don't remember who said it, but I think it really stems this argument really well. It was if you're I don't know if you're hurt or you're in trouble, you're gonna holler. Right. Hurt people holler. And then if nobody listens, you're gonna scream. And then if people still don't listen, you're gonna there was another level, like you're gonna break stuff or something like that, or you're gonna thrash. You know what I mean? As time goes on and the stuff doesn't get fixed, the response is only gonna get worse. You know what I mean? Because it was like, oh, the peaceful stuff didn't work. What's next?
Well, that's what people were saying. They were saying that the riots were almost necessary. I'll grab another one. If
we
there's
got
more in there.
Yeah, go for it.
They're
I
saying
got a
the
12
riots
pack.
are almost necessary because of the fact that the peaceful shit didn't work. Like a
sure.
lot of times, think about it, and I'm guilty of it. If you see a march for something, and I'm not just saying black rights or whatever, you know, I'm saying any issue. If people march for it, people tend to just brush it off as another peaceful march, right?
If it doesn't directly, especially if it doesn't directly have anything to do with you. You know what I mean? Like me,
But
when this
now-
first happened, I didn't give it a second thought because I'm a white guy. You know what I mean? I didn't think about it at
Well,
all.
that's the thing. People look at it as, okay, this peaceful stuff didn't make a difference, right? But when these people are burning down business, and I'm not saying these are the protesters, but I'm saying the people that have done it, the reason why it's getting as much traction and attention as it has is because of the fact that it's affecting everybody.
Right. We're talking
this is
about
happening
that.
in your backyard now.
We're talking about that, but we never said anything about the Women's March when it happened.
You know what?
Well, first of all, I was just about to bring that up.
You know
Women, like the whole women's rights thing, you could look at that the same way. Not that long ago, women were oppressed as well.
Well, the
So-
problem is now it's like the racism we're dealing with today is not the same racism of the past. There's no
Sure.
more. There's no more color this, color that. There's no more. They're not calling you the N word out in public and all that. Not really.
Well, actually, it depends where you are.
Depends on where you are.
Latan, he said that he was at school, and I believe this was in North Carolina when he was going to Elon.
That's Terrell's brother, by the way.
Yeah.
Of course.
He said that some rednecks came by him, right? And they called him a nigger, and they just fucking threw shit at him and just drove off in a pickup.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad as it was. Like racism today is more of a systematic
Right,
kind
but
of.
should
But I
you-
think it's based on where
it's-
you live. There's parts of the
Also,
country that are still
uh,
extremely racist.
True.
I don't think anybody should settle for, oh, it's not as bad as it was.
It's
you
still
should
there,
always
but
No.
There's no
attempt to
law
get
that can
to-
change that.
Well,
the racism is in here.
In a nutshell, how long ago was Martin Luther King, right? Because I don't know the exact
about
date, but I
56
know it wasn't
years?
that long ago.
No, it wasn't that long ago.
So if you look at it, we've come pretty far for the time. But
Sure, absolutely.
but when we're old, things will be a lot different. You know what I'm saying?
If we
There
get
might
that
be a
fact,
lot
you know,
better.
shit.
Also, if you want to talk specifics, right? How did this whole thing start? For one, how long did it take the guy to get arrested? He did eventually get
Good
arrested, but
point.
how long did that take?
But like,
I think it was
week?
4 days. No,
4
it was
days.
4 days.
4 days?
And that's the main issue. They
Picture
should
of
have
the
done
video
something
came out
immediately.
of him killing meat, like on Facebook.
Well, actually,
Shit.
we were talking about that today. So imagine a video, right? The same scenario.
Sure.
4 black dudes on 1 white guy. Just like that, same exact scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That would paint a whole different picture, and people would react a whole different way.
And also, I guarantee
in court, it would be murder.
you would be arrested
Right
that
off
day.
bat.
You'd be arrested that day.
That's what I'm saying. Murder. All
Exactly.
bet you'd be arrested for killing
So if
somebody.
you and 4 other guys being the cops, right?
Don't like,
Now you
especially
just
Four
take
other
if
guys
it's not
being the
cops.
cops, because the cops sat there. The
They-
one dude was on his neck, and everybody else was just sitting there watching.
It's like lollygagging around. I can see shit. You know?
Which also, I don't know if y'all saw, but the 3 guys have just been arrested.
And that's
They
all.
have, but
Yeah.
that's the thing.
But how long did that take?
Yeah, that was just about to say. It's because of how long it took.
Also, they did an external investigation, and they found that every single cop in that precinct had their body cameras off for that 24-hour period at least.
It's kind of suspicious, huh?
Exactly.
It said the killing went on for 8 minutes.
They said the dude knew. They basically knew each other. It was a setup.
They did security at a nightclub together. The George Floyd and the officer.
Really?
I can't think of the
I didn't
officer's
know
name,
that.
but they did security together, and they're trying to link that.
Every time.
You just party foul.
They're trying to link that to
So
the
much
whole
stuff.
situation. But the cop that did it has 15 prior complaints about different issues involving his conduct as a police officer. So people are pointing to that and being like, why did nobody do anything the first 15 times this was brought up?
Also,
it took
another
him
thing
killing
is,
somebody.
Guess what he's currently facing? Like year.
Manslaughter, right?
No, not man. It's murder.
3rd degree
If you find
murder.
Do you know what the sentencing is for that though?
What?
The maximum?
10.
40 because it just got raised to second.
Oh, I was about to say
Okay,
because
40.
I don't think it's that high for 3rd.
No, it's not. They just raised it to second, but still, the max he's looking at is 40 years.
Prison, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to matter
How
anyway.
old
They,
is he?
they're going to kill
Well,
him when
yeah,
he
but
gets in
that
general
shouldn't matter.
population. It's not going to matter.
Well,
I don't
that's
think
prison.
he's gonna make it to court.
They're going to murder him.
That's
And
He's
right,
in
too.
jail probably right now, but I'm saying everybody when you're going to JFK, his killer, right?
Derek
Somebody shot
Chauvin.
him in the head, right? Remember in history class you learned that one of the presidents, I believe it was Kennedy, was
Well,
assassinated.
some people might say the government. Are the
His
ones
killer
who
was
shot him.
just him being walked, escorted,
And then
Somebody
he
just
was
came up
shot.
and popped him. So I think the same thing will happen to this cop,
possibly.
maybe. And if not,
Right.
he's gonna go to prison. He's not gonna get put in gin pop because they're not
They
gonna
will
let him be
kill
around
him in
anybody.
Gym Pop. He
They're
has
gonna
no
kill
chance
him.
out there.
Yeah.
If we
Not
still
gonna
have the
happen.
old Felice Johnson clips, you can really find out what's going to happen.
But that's a great. So when this whole thing first happened, I even said, I think it's on the podcast, I was like, what are they protesting? He just got arrested. But then when you look into it, A, it took them freaking forever, and B, the other guys weren't arrested at that point, and C, the
It's
most
escalated.
he's
Well, I
facing
knew why
is
they were
40 years.
protesting.
But now, it
That's
also
crazy.
escalated.
But I don't know
There's-
why they're rioting. But to get attention, it has gotten a lot of attention. So I don't know. Maybe it did some good in getting some attention, but for the small business owners and even the big ones,
They're-
it's terrible. And for the people that they're blocking traffic for,
Yeah.
it's fucked
But
up.
it's got to the point now, like, I don't think they're rioting for the same cause anymore. Now, like, in New York, the police are instigating everything now. From what we see.
Well,
in the
they've
media.
already been called out by the was it Los Angeles governor?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They've been called out by the Los Angeles governor about the way they're handling this whole situation. And New York specifically
They
was
are-
called out
they are
because
fucking
they're
people
not
up there.
they're not doing their job. So
And it also really sucks for people who are just normal police officers
Exactly.
who aren't dicks.
Like a personally, I have some family and some family friends who are law enforcement. And they're not bad guys. They're-
Sure, not everybody.
And
is.
everyone's like, oh, F12, F this and F that. And, you know, who you going to call when you're really
see the
banged
fuck
up?
12 chants don't really do much for the movement.
Sure.
Yeah, not
But
now.
no justice, no peace. I think that's a great chant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Who do you call
there's a lot of
when who do you call when the bad guy wears a badge? That was when I
That's-
saw like
yeah,
a little
that's-
girl holding.
I think didn't they say that? They said that in the actual George Floyd video.
Really?
The guy in the video was, I think somebody had said, call the police. And he's like, call the police on the police? What? You can't call the police on the police.
Yes, you can.
I mean,
Right,
you can try, but
the issue is they're going to do exactly what they did with the first 15 complaints and just sweep it under the rug because his buddy is going to be the one that reports to the scene.
And you,
That'd be like if you pulled up on me as cops, and y'all are cops too. Y'all are not going to be putting the hammer down like you would just a regular ass cop if you were enforcing the book. No, you're going to get away
a
with
little
it.
slap on the wrist. Hey, man, don't do that shit again.
Don't do
Gotta
that
keep
shit
the
again.
department clean.
Be like, you know how blah 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 is.
Yeah,
Chief.
yeah.
You know how Chief is.
Yeah. That's probably, I mean, if you ever
Turn
seen
your
the-
body cam off if you're gonna do shit like that. That's probably the advice a
You-
lot of them are giving.
You
Sure.
seen the Asian
Not
guy,
all of
right?
them, but some of them are probably giving that
Asian
type
guy.
of
The
advice.
Asian guy and the four guys when George was killed. All right. His face looks so uncomfortable. It's like he wanted to do something, but if he did, he'd be shunned
That's
from his department.
Something
It's like
like that.
TAUTHAU.
His
Look it
face
up real
just
quick.
said,
it's like
like-
Tao
I got
Tao.
the thing up.
It said everything. It was like,
Just
I
look up
don't,
his name on Google.
I don't want to be a part of this, but if I say anything, I will be shunned from this department. Everyone will turn their back on me. So he was stuck in that situation,
Tao,
or he was racist.
Tao,
Yeah,
Tao,
yep.
Tao.
That's
Tao
it.
Tao is
That's
how
it.
people-
It was not a O. I mean, a U. It was
It's
a O.
top two.
Ah,
Tao Tao.
Tao
Tao
Ting
Tao,
Ching?
one of those. Let's not make speculation.
That's the Asian dude on it.
Yeah.
And the what do you speculations on what?
He added a ching. I don't know where he got that.
That's what.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you just took it upon yourself to
You
add
thought
a
I was just
ching.
being racist?
Yes, I
Holy-
did.
Oh no, but no,
But,
them two are like the main ones. I don't know the other ones. I don't know the names of the
They
other
both
ones.
seemed white.
Seemed
Probably.
white.
They looked white. They had white names.
Oh,
But on the opposite of this, like, what happens when the black officers fuck up a black guy? Does anyone really care though? On that same kind of incident, kind of thing.
Well, I will say one thing to that. That's not systematic. Doesn't make it any more right.
It doesn't
but
make him all right, but it doesn't get the same media
The
attention.
thing is, there's always gonna.
I don't think
be-
it's as prominent.
Right. And Will, about your earlier point of the feeling bad for the Asian guy because maybe he wasn't comfortable,
Maybe
but
he
he
was,
knew
man.
that would ruin his career or whatever if he did that. That's unfortunate.
It is.
And it's a problem that should be solved, but it's still his responsibility.
Yeah, still
you know what I
is.
mean?
I
He should
mean, I
still
give
go
him
to
no
jail.
slack for
No,
it.
absolutely.
No slack, but
And it's like, how can you sit there and watch a man die? You know what I mean? Unarmed. Like,
Begging for life.
do you remember what the original call was for?
Oh.
Counterfeit.
Oh, I thought it said
suspicion
you
of
can't
counterfeit
watch
money.
like he had a counterfeit 20 or something.
That was the suspicion.
Yeah, but if you walked in with an accidental bad counterfeit, right? It'd be like,
That's
buddy.
exactly like that episode of Atlanta,
Oh,
where they went to the hookah bar and the dude kicked him out because he said the money was counterfeit.
but it was real.
Yeah, it was real.
It was like-
he just didn't believe a black guy had $100.
Sad. it's not funny, but
It makes it.
And
does
all of
make it
this
funny
is in
'cause
the
it's
midst of a
Childish Gambino.
pandemic.
Yeah.
All of these protests and riots at night.
I will say it was interesting when this
Those-
whole thing happened. It really felt like I forgot about Corona for like
Everybody
a couple
did.
minutes. You know what I mean? It's like
People
I
were like, "Oh,
completely
what
forgot.
happened to Corona now?"
Yeah.
We're still screwed, guys. Don't get it twisted.
I don't think we're screwed, but
I
it's a
think
wild place.
2020 has been one of the worst
If we were
years
screwed,
we've
we
seen.
wouldn't be moving on to phase 2 of opening.
Yeah, for sure.
For now, though. What
If
happens?
anything, they might just say, as honestly as bad as it sounds, fuck the whole
Write 'em off.
safety precaution. Yeah, write it off,
Write
and
'em
the
off.
death tolls that we get will be a minute thing compared to our economy collapsing.
How do you feel
Because
about
Dr. Oz was basically saying, and I don't think he meant bad by it, but he was saying that the percentage of kids that will die if we open public schools up again is like a drop in the bucket, basically, compared to what we're losing out of it.
Sure.
Kids can't become educated, parents have to find a babysitter, so on and so forth.
I do see that.
So
point
he's
of view.
basically saying, weigh the pros, weigh the cons.
But that's almost like putting in the predicament of like you're.
I think
there's
it's
a train
2% of
coming.
kids. I think the percentage he used was 2% of kids will die as like a national average.
That's
Everything
like
seems easy when you break it down to large numbers.
but you break it down small. That's like putting your mom on the tracks or putting 1,000 people on the tracks.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
kinda like that.
honestly looking at the way that it benefits the majority. I don't know.
Sure, and here's the
It's
thing.
kind of bad,
Here's
and it's
the-
shitty for the 2%.
The unfortunate thing, though, is that the government, right, the people, the powers that be, that's the way they have to look at this stuff. But then you personally, you have to say, oh, I don't trust that 2%. My kid's not going to school this year.
True.
That's what I do. If I had a kid, they would not be going to school next
And
year.
then they get left behind, right?
I'll figure that out. Homeschooling's great these days.
Here it is. Dr. Oz apologizes for suggesting it may only cost 2% to 3%
had to
of American
apologize.
lives
That's
to
right.
reopen schools. So that's the percentage, 2 to 3%. And he had to apologize because he was probably fucking crucified on social
I'm sure.
social media
But
about
if
it.
you think about it, it's pretty much like him going, "Oh, fuck them kids. 2%.
yeah, it
Not
kind
my
of is.
kids.
Is
fuck
it though?
In a
I mean,
sense.
it's not.
Not
but I
exactly,
get,
but
I
in a
understand
sense,
how
that's
people
what
take
people
it
be
that
mad
way,
about.
But take one.
It's like that.
Is it?
That
I
2%
mean,
could be my kids. You know what I mean? That's
Sure.
kind of how you have to look at it.
that's
But
true.
on the
That's the
bigger
way people are
picture,
looking. He's
government-wise.
looking at a bigger picture
Yeah.
thing. I don't think he thought before he tweeted
one
that
that's not
out or
recorded.
said it. You know.
In fact, social media and politics
There
do
you go.
not go hand in hand. Let's put it that way. For sure.
You said what?
Oh.
You good. You good. Taekwon's doing his best.
He's a
but,
good man.
yeah, man. Stuff's crazy. The main thing you do is take care of your own.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to prepare for when the time comes where our money isn't worth shit. It's who has the crops, who has the ammo, who has the resources.
Is that what you're waiting on?
I don't think
That's
it'll
what-
really come to that.
You
You never
big,
know, though. You never know.
The
But
the
if you
worst
watch
thing.
Handmaid's Tale, that's how it turns out. They're doing the rights for women, the Women's Right March, and they start doing the tear gas. But the difference in the show is when they were protesting, they actually started firing live rounds at the people in the crowd. And that's when they knew, oh, we're fucked. Because they started off in the show, they froze all the women's bank accounts, and then they transferred all the money to their husbands. That was how they
That's
started
dirty.
it. Yep. And then they started doing the whole women can't do this. You can't travel out of the country if you're a woman. It was
They
just
lost all
like
their
the
jobs and
Holocaust.
stuff. They became
Slow
dependent on
thing.
men. It was a whole.
Yeah. That's how it happened to Handmaid's Tale. And then when the protests were happening for women's rights, that's when they started shooting. It's scary because it's kind of eerie how close it is to the shit we're going through now. I don't think it's going to take that route
think about it.
for
No.
African Americans,
But the
The
main
whole
thing
thing
of that
at the
stuff.
White House, they don't have to use non-lethal rounds once you make it past those barriers, do they?
oh, the White House?
The White House.
No.
They could have laid those people out.
If you
Oh,
go,
correct.
well, no,
Yeah.
they didn't cross that line.
They didn't get that far.
You know who
No.
did? I believe cross that line.
Who?
The gun control thing in Richmond. And nobody died.
I didn't hear anything about
But
that.
they want causing
They
Oh,
were at
the
least
Richmond.
close.
No,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
talking about the White House
No,
specifically.
I'm saying, right.
I did
but
hear
that's a
about that,
Capitol
but I
building.
was about to
I'm
say
saying,
in-
I'm pretty
in
sure they
DC?
got similar rules on that. Is my point.
but-
I don't know. The main point is the
No, because I
analogy.
think in DC you can walk up to the Capitol. The difference is that in
You
the
mean
White
Richmond?
House, or no, I'm saying in DC if you go to the Capitol,
Okay.
you can kind of walk up.
Okay.
But I think in DC, you saw it when we went to DC. You cannot get anywhere near the White House.
So you're saying in Richmond you can walk up the Capitol?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
okay, yeah, yeah.
I think
I'm
at
just
Capitol,
missing- you
but
just
I'm
missed
saying
what
the
I'm
difference
saying.
is between the White House
I
is
got
that's
you.
where the president
No, the
is.
security's
You get past
definitely
those
not
barriers,
the same.
man.
You get past that first fence,
There's
they're
a
gonna mow
sniper
you down.
right on you.
Absolutely.
And there's fucking snipers.
And-
For sure.
There's
If
no
all those
way you're
people
getting
got
near the
mowed
White
down,
House.
breaking over those barriers, it would have been a
Do you remember
whole
when you
nother
used to just
story.
go into the White House? Like that was the thing. You could just go and
When?
get a tour.
I think
was
I
a
You
was,
thing
can
for a
still
long
get a
time.
tour.
I think I was always too
All right, let me
polished
see.
to know
So
about
I
that.
know when I went to DC, they had
White
stopped
privilege.
doing it. That might have been a temporary
I was
thing.
about to say no,
You know what I
they've
mean?
had tours, but
There
you
was
had to
a
book it.
while where you couldn't do it.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I know for a
It's
fact.
just, I think
tours
whenever
are still a
there's
thing.
major security issues, they stop that. But I think that's just much. They do that much less now, I believe.
Okay, I was about to say because I'm
It's
pretty
on
sure
top
there's
of
still
that.
a thing.
They might still do it. I don't
mean,
know, but they definitely do it way less.
Trump's
That's
a
for
hot topic right now. It's probably not in their
sure. I
best
feel like as
interest.
soon as he became president, they just said, "Nah, we ain't
Yeah,
taking it."
you know.
Just kidding.
Yeah, but I think I think the security measures for getting White House tour is way more secure
sure.
than it's probably better than TSA, honestly.
Shit.
They're
TSA
not gonna
fuck
let you
up
fucking-
real quick.
And they got a bunker underneath that Trump went to. They escorted Trump to a bunker.
Mm-hmm. It's wild.
This is the first time in years that the president has turned the lights off and went into hiding.
Since 9/11,
That's right.
actually.
Yeah.
They said the last time that a president has been brought down to the bunker was 9/11.
Just think about how close those people could have been to get mowed
Taekwon's
down.
birthday, by the way.
Yeah, Taekwon's.
9/11.
Just think about how
Can you grab
close.
me a beer?
What was that one incident in history where I think it was the British
Thank you.
opened fire on that whole crowd of protesters?
We were just talking about this actually.
Ooh.
Tiananmen Square?
It's the
Tiananmen Square, yes.
Yeah,
No,
that's
Tiananmen
China.
Square.
Are you sure?
That's China.
No, Tiananmen
one-
Square is
the one
where
that
all
happened here.
the
Is it?
students.
I thought that was the tank with the.
No, that's
No,
that's
no, no,
that's
no.
Okay,
that's
okay.
all different thing. You're talking about the shit. I just said it at Tyler's.
I was thinking about
just
that.
said it's the shot heard around the world. If I'm not mistaken,
I thought
and
that was,
it started off with the rocks being thrown,
Mm-hmm.
and then they started open firing. One person on the line opened fire, and then
Battle. That's Battle of Concord.
Concord. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Brennan said it was.
I thought that was
Look
like,
up. No, Tiananmen Square is a whole different thing, bro.
Okay.
Look up System of a Down's "Hypnotize" lyrics.
Why don't they
Ask
ask the kids at Tiananmen Square?
Square.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I don't know what I'm even looking up.
You're looking up.
My brain messed up as I was singing that song. What are we looking for again? What was the details?
Tiananmen Square.
All right, I'll let Will do that.
No, he already looked up
Battle of
Tiananmen Square. It's the Battle of
Is it?
Concord.
I thought
Yeah.
that was what started the Revolutionary War or something.
That's the thing. It was.
Oh,
it was
that is what
one
you're talking
shot.
about.
One shot was
Okay.
fired.
Not that one. Not
Okay.
No. You're right. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
no,
sure
you're
you're
right.
right.
Yeah. No,
Because
that is
one
the
shot
ones-
was
yes.
fired, and then everybody else on the line started firing out of a panic.
I didn't know you were talking about that.
I'm thinking
far.
about
So
the
the
protesters.
same thing could go if
You're
they do
thinking
that
of, like, Tiananmen
today.
Square, I think.
I'm thinking of Tiananmen Square.
Yes.
Where
He's talking
it
about
was
the
an
start of the
accident that
Revolutionary War.
happened.
Same-
Someone
very
had an
similar
accident,
thing.
and the whole line fired them. They were all. they
No,
weren't
that's
military.
not Tiananmen Square.
What was Tiananmen? Hold on. What was Tiananmen?
Look
Look
what
up
Tiananmen Square.
Battle of Concord.
You're
I know-
right
I know
about
Battle of
Concord.
Concord,
That's what you're
yes.
talking
That's what I'm
about.
saying. Look it up because I'm almost certain. Hold on.
I know. Tiananmen Square was.
Because that was a very similar situation.
It was a massacre between military and
Yeah, you're right.
Civilians.
civilians. Yeah.
The thing is, you're describing the same. They're basically the
They
same.
happen
events.
the same
They're
way.
almost the same. It's just one happened with muskets and one happened with machine guns.
Yes.
Pretty sure. Let me see. Oh, shot heard around the world. Yep.
That's Battle of Concord.
Yep.
Yeah. I remember the what's that the Schoolhouse Rock song.
All I remember of that is conjunction junction.
The
What's your
Boston
function?
Massacre.
I'm just a
That's
Bill.
what I'm
That's
thinking
what
of.
Boston Massacre.
The
I
Boston
was wrong.
Massacre. That's what I was
really?
thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
No,
a-
but I knew what you were talking about
Yeah,
because we just had this discussion the other night actually because I was saying that at the White House, if somebody on the line was to all of a sudden fire
One gunshot. is all
one
it took.
gunshot,
all
all
it
the
takes.
other
Everybody's dead.
other cops would have done it because you don't know if you're a guy that's all the way on the right side of the
Sure.
line. You don't know where that came from. You don't know if a cop fired that. You don't know if a civilian fired that. So naturally,
Let
you're
loose.
first. Everybody's going to start rushing the White House. Everybody's just firing. Same thing as the Boston Massacre.
That's what
Yeah.
Boston Massacre.
Battle of Concord. What was that? Because why
That
is
was
that?
exactly that was
Because
exactly.
Brennan told me that the shot that I was talking about, that we were talking about, was the Battle of Concord. So I'm wondering what that actually was. The shot heard around the world. What is that?
The shot heard around the world was the Boston Massacre, I believe.
No, that
'Cause
wasn't
they-
Boston. The
All
battles
I know
of
is the
Lexington and
shot
Concord
heard- oh,
is a shot around
okay,
the world.
so it is that.
Here it
'Cause
is.
that
Yeah,
was
no,
what
you're
started
right.
the
You're right.
Revolutionary
I
War.
was right about the shot heard around
Yeah,
the world
that's,
because
yeah,
it
that's
said
yeah.
70 Minutemen had gathered on the village green. Someone suddenly fired a shot. It's uncertain which side, and the melee ensued.
Yep.
And the clash ended. 8 Americans lay dead, and at least an equal amount were injured.
Now, that
So
was
that's
a-
the same thing.
That was a battle. What I was talking about was just protesters being
Okay.
shot down by
Right.
the Boston.
Well, that's what I was.
Massacre.
I was thinking about the shot heard around the world because one person fired, and then
Same concept.
yeah,
Same concept.
Same concept. If one person fires, it's over.
Yeah.
But they were throwing fireworks.
Just think, at DC, they're throwing fireworks.
Were they? Really?
You think that would those must have been some really high?
Not at the White House though. This was in the streets.
Okay.
You throw some fireworks in the White House, they can be interpreted as a gunshot, a 22, and
Yeah, you don't know what it is.
jeez.
William,
Yes, sir.
say something real quick. Vamp, I'll be right back. Where are you going? I gotta piss. William, vamp.
Jeffrey's going to piss. Got another one. You're almost done with yours.
Yeah, this is good stuff, man. We need some sponsors rolling in.
How did you feel about the video of the protesters attacking the firemen?
That bothered me on a personal level, and most of my academy buddies. And it's like they attacked their ladder company, thankfully. Not thankfully, but they're there to help. They're there to make things. Who do you call if your baby's choking at that point in time, or if someone's got a severe burn? You call EMS, firefighters. And now you're throwing rocks at them and sending them off scene. So whoever's already injured out there and hurt or stomped or trampled is going to die, and you killed them. Now, if it was an engine, I mean, if they sprayed those people with a hose, which I wouldn't be against it, but that'd be like
They'd flip that fire truck over probably.
that would be a reenactment
Like
of the Civil War.
if it's as deep as
Or
all
not
these
the
other
Civil War, but
protests
yeah.
are, so they probably flip that fire
The
truck
Civil
over.
Rights Movement,
Yeah, the Civil Rights Movement.
and
they were
that wouldn't be
spraying black
that
folks
wouldn't be a
down
good
with hose.
image.
Sorry, guys.
I
I could not hold it.
Those things are no joke. Getting sprayed with.
Come on,
I haven't
dude.
done it personally. Obviously,
I've been on the deck
You've
and on
told
top,
me
man.
how fast, and I'm talking about not the spread stream. I'm talking about just when
the
it's hitting
smooth bore,
you.
man. Oh,
Are you
yeah.
talking about tear gas?
No, on
No,
the
we're
fire
talking about
truck.
the fire hose.
The smooth
Oh,
bore
yeah,
clean
yeah,
it
yeah.
out,
They
man.
do that. I don't know what they do with it, but they make it so it's a focused stream.
Like a
Smooth
water hose.
Now, like a water hose, but
You
with
do
a
the,
lot
well, you
more
do the
pressure.
thumb on the
That,
thing
but this
to
is
make
on
it-
a whole nother level.
Right.
It's literally a straight pipe with a stream splitter in the middle of it. It's like a smooth, solid stream of water pumped out at maybe like 90 psi or more. That should have hurt. Probably clean you out pretty good.
Yeah. And then did you see how, I don't know how, I read this, I don't know if it's true. They said technically the rubber bullets, you're supposed to shoot at the ground
first.
Right, but people are just getting shot in the face with them.
That's
Bro,
fucked
if you
up.
get hot at hitting the eye with a
Your eye's gone.
For
The bullet
sure.
is your eye.
Yeah, or you can
It
hit right
cleaves
here
in.
and you can send fragments of your skull into your
Uh-huh.
brain. So if you die that way, is it still the officer who shot it's fault, or are you just a lost cause? Right?
I mean, they definitely wouldn't get in trouble for that.
Of course not.
No.
It's still wrong.
So that being said, if you're going to protest, please be safe.
For
Please
sure.
be careful.
For sure.
or wear glasses.
Don't.
Not,
glasses
not
won't
sure
help,
how
man.
much that. Yeah, I was just about to say I don't know how much
Shit.
that would help, but
Because if you get hit in the skull, that's it. Bro.
what about some goggles?
No
man.
matter, that don't
Just
protect
be
you.
on
The
the
gun-
front line.
The goggles will be shoved
All
into
right,
your face.
I wouldn't be as worried about my skull as I am my eye.
Well,
Because
definitely.
if it hits my eye, that's a straight
But I'm
shot to
pretty
my
sure,
brain.
Will said, technically, if it hits right here, you can
You can
crack
shatter
your
fragments
skull,
of your
for
skull
sure.
into your brain.
And then you die slowly. If you get hit in the eye, it's just gonna go through.
Yeah, but my eye is it's gonna go through and hit my brain.
What you gotta do is wear a welding mask.
That's not gonna help either.
dude.
Probably they can probably. I don't know.
Maybe
How-
a motorcycle.
I don't know how
Yeah,
powerful
a
these
full
guns
motorcycle
A
are.
full,
helmet
head, a
would be
full
your best
motorcycle
bet.
helmet might help you out.
Yeah.
For sure.
So if you're gonna be in the front lines, try a full motorcycle.
No,
helmet.
yeah, I'm wrong because the welding masks are what? What do they
They're
use?
real
What,
thin.
what
They're
type of
real
glass
thin.
are
And it's
they?
like regular. It's like a plastic kind of.
Oh, it's like
Well,
a
they've
plastic,
got,
resistant.
they've got thicker ones. I've seen the thick metal
They
ones.
do, but I mean, you can just push the. If you get hard enough, I'm pretty sure
Can
you
you
push
really?
the whole mask against your face and it
Really?
hurt.
Okay.
You might be able to break the lens.
I've never welded,
How
so I
hard
can't
are
speak
rubber
on that.
bullets hitting? Is my question.
Pretty hard, from what I've heard.
Pretty.
I know they have to be significantly hard to disperse people, but I'm like, I don't know.
I
I don't
think there's
even.
like different size. I think they have like grenade size ones, and they have like actual rubber bullets.
Well, there's like the rubber, and there's like the bean bags, which are not as bad, I believe.
Like, how bad is it in comparison to like paintball? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
way more than paintball, I'm sure.
I wouldn't want to be shot with
Nah,
one.
again, I've never been shot with a rubber bullet, but I'd be willing to bet to hold it. I got shot in the nut by a paintball one time, and I lived. And
How do
I'm
you
pretty
feel-
sure my stuff still works.
How do you feel
Pretty
about
sure.
those pepper balls, though?
Were you talking about regular paintball?
Regular paintball.
Like actually exploding little.
Yeah, just standard paintball.
See, what I was comparing it to was basically some of the not airsoft, but paintball places have like little balls. It's not airsoft though. It's like bigger little rubber balls that they shoot at you. The place on Airline Boulevard used to have it.
Really?
What was the name of that place? The go-karting
The go-kart
place.
paintball place that was right on
The
Airline.
go-kart paintball in place on Airline Boulevard. G-Force. That place used to have paintballing, but it was little rubber
I thought
balls
they'd be
or
more
whatever.
like.
Still have it.
They still have it?
Yeah.
I thought
Oh,
those
so
were
it's
more
still
like
there.
like miniature paintballs, like BBs covered in paint or something.
I would think that hurt less.
No, because the balls are a decent size. They're decent size.
So how are they different from paintball? Like
Because
standard
paintballs actually hit you and explode, right?
Okay.
That hurts less than a solid.
Yeah, solid's just hitting you.
So that doesn't.
So I don't
so
know.
it's just,
I've never
you're
been
saying
real
it's just big
paintball.
airsoft.
No,
essentially.
airsoft's what is
A
it?
little plastic BB.
Little plastic.
So
This
what's this
is
made of?
rubber.
Oh, rubber. So it's a rubber bullet. Is what
Like,
we're
it's a
talking
little
about.
rubber,
again.
but I don't think it's as high
Doesn't
as
come out with the
PSI.
same PSI.
Sure, I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
not.
the thing. That's why I
Yeah.
said in comparison.
But that just
like,
seems stupid. Why would you pick that over paintball or airsoft? You
Mexico-
got two safer options.
and it's also probably cheaper. I don't know
Okay,
for a
maybe.
fact because they probably just pick up the
Now
balls
you know
anyways.
if you want to be a jerk, you play paintball. You freeze
You
all your
fry, I
balls
was just
ahead of
about to
time.
get there.
Yep.
That should get you killed.
That'd be nuts. You probably
Uh-huh.
get swung on for that.
I bet, dude.
How do you feel about the little? I think they're using like the little pepper balls or whatever, like a paintball gun that shoots balls and peppers. and
You're
shit.
talking about
Pepper spray?
that martial law video?
Yeah, he had the little. It looked like
That
a
was
paintball
pepper
gun.
bullets.
Pepper bullets. Those kind of look cool, but I mean,
Kind of look cool.
Not when they're being shot at you.
now
I
they're be
bet.
shot at you now.
Probably not.
And at least milk is the antidote, somewhat.
It's
For
true.
tear gas.
Yeah, because milk counteracts capsaicin, which is the main ingredient.
And peppers. Is it the same thing in tear
Same
gas?
thing in pepper spray. yeah.
Capsaicin?
Capsaicin. It's just the boiled down version of it. The essence of pepper.
Yeah, they gotta do the gas chamber in the military.
Yeah.
Same thing. You walk
Pray
in
tell.
with your the gas mask on and you take it off.
I want to hear Latan's story of the gas chamber.
He didn't go.
He didn't have to
This
go.
came in as an
He
officer.
came in
or
as an
whatever.
officer.
Yeah.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He got away scot free with that. Is it scot free or scotch free? Because I always say scotch free.
I
I
thought it
think
was
it's scot free, but I also say scotch
Who
free.
the
That's what I'm saying. I
Scott?
say scotch free, but then I started seeing
Scot-free.
subtitles on different shows where they say scot free, so I've made it a point to
Yeah.
correct myself every time now.
Because I mean, scotch would be a good thing. You would want that, so you wouldn't want to be scotch free. I think you'd want to be scot free, because like Scott sounds like a jerk.
Who the fuck is Scott?
He sounds like a jerk.
Sounds like an asshole to me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Hmm. But yeah, it's very unfortunate, man. All the at the end of the day, it's all just taken away from the cause into the memory of George Floyd. Right?
Yeah,
That's
for sure.
the thing.
Oh, and that one kid down in Alabama that was got by the two guys with the back of the truck. Wonder what happened to
yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Scott free. What
He's
happened to
scot-free.
that?
So the thing is, that's not. I mean, obviously, it's all big deals because it all sucks and it's horrible. But that's not as dangerous because those were individuals, not.
That's not the
a
man
system.
coming down
Right.
on the.
When the
counter.
man is so obviously coming down on a one group of people, that's scary. When two racist dudes kill a guy, that sucks.
True.
But it's not the same. Now, that being said, it sucks, and they're evil
The
human
father
beings.
was a former police officer.
Oh, great! Bring the man back into the game.
George Floyd,
No,
or
the other dude.
I don't remember his
Two
name. The
white
jogger.
kid.
The jogger. Okay. Well,
It's.
yeah.
Tell you, man, 2020 has been one of the worst years
It's
in
been
a
crazy,
long
dude.
time.
It's been crazy.
I'm starting to think, man, this might be the end. It may not be the end of the
Because
whole
if you look back
life,
in history,
but-
man, every time something good happens, the year before that was crazy.
They said a stadium asteroid is on its way to Earth.
It's coming near
Oh,
Earth. Calm
Not to
down.
interrupt,
No, go for it.
but the origin of scot free. To go scot free is to escape without incurring punishment or without payment.
So Scott.
Dred Scott was a black slave. You've heard about him in school.
Okay.
He was a black slave born in the USA in 1799. In several celebrated court cases right up to the USA Supreme Court in 1857, he attempted to gain his freedom. These cases all failed, but Scott was later made a free man by his so-called owners, the Blow family. So when you're scot-free, you're a free man.
Can you believe
That's a
that
horrible
came
origin.
from
It's
slavery?
really-
So when you say you got away
Holy
scot-free,
crap.
we don't even think about that.
No, we don't.
When we say we got away scot-free, well, in my case, I was saying scotch-free, but the root is still the same.
It's Scott,
You got away
yeah.
scot-free. That's the root of what we're saying.
And not
Yours
that
was
based on
based
the
on
conversation
slavery.
we were just having.
That's what I'm saying. It kind of goes line in line, honestly.
I had a question that might be a little personal, but this is a very serious podcast for the most part, I feel like. So, you know, there's a lot of talk of, stuff is way better than it used to be, right? But it's definitely not perfect. And a lot of people would probably say it's not even good. You know what I mean? So, like, is that something, I'm the only Caucasian person here. Is that something that y'all have ever, you told the story about Latan, but, like, does anybody have any, that they want to share, this is very personal stuff, but does anybody have any stuff like that they've encountered just to prove that it's not away, it's still a culture that is still here? You know what I mean?
My car, I had that exhaust for like 5 years, and the only boys that ever fucked with me were the state troopers in Gloucester. Yeah, I ain't forgot, the same state trooper got me twice. I think his name was, did I say his name? I think his name was fucking Speed or something. JR Speed got me twice when he leaves with sauce. Diesels and shit flying past, motorcycles loud as shit, pulled me over.
So profiling.
I think I'm pretty sure it's profiling.
Story profiling.
But what's crazy is, like, I don't understand black people's logic. But let's say most African Americans are like, hey man, you're not black, you belong to them. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? What is being black?
To you?
Yeah.
Why would they say that?
Tell me, it's like the old guys that work are like, you ain't black, man. I'm like, well, fuck.
Because the
What
way
is-
you talk?
Yeah, just kind of like your situation. The way you talk, the way you carry yourself, the things
See,
you
mine
like.
was different. Me and Latan actually just had this conversation yesterday. We were talking about what we identify as, because being mixed,
See?
you kind of have to pick. Well, you don't have to, but
But
Latan
how?
was talking about, like, he said, when I talk to people in conversation, I say, I'm black. But for me, it's different than Latan, because I'm a white and black dude who looks Hispanic. So, like, for example, a woman came into Navy Federal today and told my coworker, she identified with me as the Mexican dude. So it's kind of like, for me, I don't look either way, because what you are as a mixed person is based on how you look. If you look more of like a black guy as a mixed guy, people will automatically assume you're just black. But because I don't look either one, and I don't talk like a black person, I guess I would talk more white, so to speak. It's
Well,
really
terrible.
weird. It's like cultural identity.
It's
It's
kind
a
of
really weird
yeah.
thing.
How can you say a person is their race by the way they carry themselves? That's what I've never understood. And black
Well, it's
people
kind of
are
like
the
a
worst at that.
black person that talks white, so to speak.
Exactly.
They're
Anything with
called,
some
they might be
proper-
called a certain name, or
Exactly.
if you have a certain political view, they might call you Uncle Tom
Why?
or
Why can't you
Uncle
just
Ruckus.
Why can't you just be black and happy? Like, black people tear each other down first before anything else, and that's a fact.
Black on black crime's another argument,
It's
To be
a whole
had,
nother-
actually.
It's a whole other argument, man.
because I don't know, when black on black crime happens on the media, it's not as sensationalized than as like white on black
It's just
crime.
hood life, you know? It's just a shit we do.
They just are like, oh, they just write it off as normal hood culture or something.
Exactly.
But it
From-
shouldn't be like that.
From
No.
the outside looking in, I would say, again, it does kind of speak to, like you're talking about white on black crime versus black on black crime versus white on white crime. The main thing is, like, one of them I think does stem to or actually they both kind of stem to a system, but in
True.
both of the cases, it is to where African Americans are kind of at a disadvantage to where white people are treating them poorly, and then also they're being put in a position to where they have to fight each other. You know what I mean? Just looking at numbers, I can say to
You
some
know,
extent there's
The worst
truth
part of
behind
this
that.
is, I know a few people personally, they're like, man, I can be around white people, I don't mind white people, but at the end of the day, I always know that they never have my back. In the end, I'm like, dude, not all people are like that. You can't hold a whole race accountable for bad apples. You can't do that, you know?
Yeah,
I think it's
absolutely.
because of the history. So
Yeah,
I don't think
it's-
we're
that's-
far. Like
yeah.
we were talking about how long ago Martin Luther King actually was. It's too soon in history for people to just up and forget about the history.
Yeah,
So a
don't
lot of
forget,
like
man.
black people will hold that standard. Like I don't know. It's
People
it's,
like-
it's a big divide because we're too close to that
10
history.
years older than us shouldn't be holding so much hate.
Well, when we're grandparents, it's probably not going to be as prominent as the issue. So people are going to it's going to be more distance from the whole segregation thing.
Sure.
For sure.
You know.
And those people are dying off to some extent. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll ever 100% go away. There will always be evil people, for sure. But the culture of racism and that, especially the culture of accepting that, because like think about it, how many racist people do you know that you can think of? They're all old people that you might give them a pass. Because,
Not
like, that was
necessarily
their
because
generation. Now for them,
culture repeats because of
Sure.
the fact that if you have a racist parent, you're going to be brought up with that viewpoint.
And that's why it
you may
is-
defer
Unless
later
you- yeah,
on.
that's
and that's why it
But-
is so important to not just say, "Oh, it'll die off." But I do think it is going to get better as long as people
Probably
keep
will. And as
standing
long
up
as
and
we keep
trying to
exposing
change.
anonymous exposed some KKK members in a few different states. So it's like the more we bring it to light, the more these people will kind of
Absolutely.
be like, "Oh, we can't do this."
It's going to be a mix of time and a mix of stuff like
But
this. You know what I mean?
I don't think racism is ever truly going to be eliminated
No,
until
no.
we're all just a bunch of mixed babies one day, because black people are having sex with white people, white people are
White-
having sex with black
like
people,
Mexicans,
so on
Asians,
and so forth, Asian, Mexican, things like that.
Yeah. One day
They're-
we'll all be, just people.
But at the end of the
Race
day,
won't matter.
right now,
We're all going to be just a fucking
all you
bunch
can
of
do
mixed babies one day.
is be a good human. Love your brother. Take care of
For
your
sure.
people.
No matter what
Don't
race
ever
your
treat
brother is,
nobody
yeah.
based on dumb stuff.
No matter what,
You know
like, I personally will treat a person of how they treat others, personality-wise. I don't care if you're white, black, Mexican, Asian, whatever, but people don't see it that way. Either you're with us, like black people specifically, either you're with us, you believe everything we do everything we do, talk like us, do everything we do, or you're not one of us. And that's something I personally deal with all the time. And it gets on my last nerve. I don't understand. It's like you get to the point where you just don't care. You get to the point where you live your life, you enjoy things you do. Eventually we'll all end where we want to be, and none of this shit will matter, To us, at least. It'll still be a big issue, but
It won't be as big of an issue
Yeah.
probably because everybody's like intermingling now. Doesn't matter what race you are.
we need, like, our age group now to have more of a prominence in the future.
No, you're 100% right. I think we're getting to a place to where racism is becoming the minority, and racism is becoming the person that you prejudice against. You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
just
Which
black
is how it
people
should be.
either.
No,
Right,
it's not.
exactly.
It's
There's a
not.
whole.
What about the Asians that were being attacked for the coronavirus?
Oh, that one family they weren't even Chinese. They were
Absolutely.
stabbed, and the kid died or whatever. I remember that.
It's the same
Tragic.
thing. It's just cultural oppression in any place.
And the craziest part is, like, right now it's whites and blacks in the media and everywhere in the United States. What happened to the Native Americans? What happened to Hispanics?
That's a whole other
Japanese?
story, bro.
What happened to all of them?
Because I saw a meme the other day. It basically said 2020's been a bad year. It's almost like we're haunted or cursed. It's almost like we're built on an ancient Indian burial ground or something. And then
That's
you think
funny.
about it,
That's
oh,
funny.
we
We
are.
were.
This
Entire
was their
country.
land. Columbus has his own day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, bro. It's always been an issue.
It's like, so are blacks really the minority? If you think about it?
Well, minorities. You can be a minority, but you
Yeah.
don't have to be the minority.
I believe as of right now, still yes. Number wise, I believe there are more Caucasian people in America than there are
Yes.
African
But time
American.
out.
I could be wrong.
Spanish.
I don't know.
I don't know as far as a language, but Spanish is like close to being just as
Catching up.
relevant as English
As a language.
as a language. Because English doesn't necessarily have to be the primary language of America. Imagine
Correct.
if Spanish was the thing one day.
That would be weird. Maybe I'm too
Apparently,
old for that.
English is the hardest language to learn
It is. It is
because of
because
all
I mean,
the.
Because our language evolves.
you have
so
like
constantly.
living life. It's spelled the same way, but like if you weren't speaking English, you wouldn't understand what he was
Yeah.
trying to tell you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to see a live show. What? What's that? Is the show alive? Someone
Yeah,
else
because
wouldn't understand.
pronunciation, like the E's are silent, so on and so
it's,
forth.
It's weird.
But yeah,
It's all about context in our language.
shit's fucked up though.
Yeah.
What we're going through is fucked up. 2020 has been fucked up. But
But maybe there's a light, man.
This would be the
At
one
end
year
of this
that, like,
tunnel.
New Year's, it'll be like what 61 seconds at the end of the year. 2021.
the way that I think about right now, when I'm at work and I have a mask on, because I have to wear a mask every fucking day now for this dumbass,
Oh yeah, wear a cool mask, by the way.
yeah, fucking,
That's what I do. If I wear something cool.
yeah, the virus. We're gonna be in history books one day. Not us specifically, obviously,
No.
but kids are gonna learn about the whole coronavirus pandemic one day.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
cool though.
It's cool.
Definitely.
Imagine like your
You're gonna see
grandkids.
pictures of
Yeah.
people protesting in the streets for the whole George Floyd thing and coronavirus all in the same timeline one day.
I swear.
And it may even be a contributing factor to the virus staying around because everybody was assembling and spreading it.
It's-
We don't know. The numbers
We'll
might
see.
spike.
I think
This is history
These
in
are
the
definitely
making.
historic times. And one thing that I think is important, especially like we talked about earlier, of looking at these photos and these videos of these protests and how much they look exactly like the MLK and the Malcolm X.
Well, any
marches and stuff.
protest, if people
Sure,
are
but
in
like
unity
especially,
marching together,
Right,
especially
right,
the,
right,
kind of
the
similar.
police response specifically, though. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, 100%.
that's the big one. But
They
so
just
one
haven't
thing
got
that
the
is
fire
important
hoses
is
out
really
yet.
think about what side of history are you going to be on. You know what I mean?
history's gray area though.
Not
Depending
really.
on who you're looking at. What
Think
is
about
the right
the
side,
MLK
what's the wrong
days. Was
side?
there a right and a wrong side?
Definitely there
Think about the
was.
Civil War. Was there a right
There's
and a wrong
always
side?
a right and
There's
wrong
a right
side
and
of
wrong
history.
Yeah. So be on the right side of history, in this case at least.
But if you're going in the way thinking that the wrong side is the right side,
As
then
far
you'll
as
never know.
morality is concerned, I think
pretty cut and dry.
pro equality would be the right side of history
Absolutely.
to put it generically.
What
you
that
can't really
looks-
say
there's
pro Trump
definitely-
against Trump.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with politics. It's more so the morality of it.
Yeah.
Should people be treated the same?
For sure.
Boom. What side are you on?
Yeah.
But now that,
Because that's the root. What that looks like is a conversation to be had. What's going to happen is a conversation to be had. But at the end of the day, the root is we should strive to get to where everybody has as equal of a chance to succeed in this country as the person to the left and the person to their right.
Now, all this eventually will spread on to the whole multi-gender thing. I didn't even want to touch this topic, but
Nope,
it's
that's a whole
really,
nother
it's a
episode,
really
brother.
that's a whole nother thing we got to talk
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms.
So-
yeah, it all leads into that.
We just reached an hour. I think that's a pretty good place to stop.
Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Thank you guys. It's been a very serious episode. It's
Serious
good to
episode,
come
but
and
good-
talk
good-
about some real
Good
stuff.
content.
For the viewers. Obviously, we do, at the end of the day, we do support everything that's happening right now.
100%.
Not necessarily how it's going on necessarily. There's a conversation we had there, but at the end of the day, the cause is just. I'm going to put a link in the description to. Sorry for the vape smoke.
Who pressed that?
Nobody.
Nobody.
All right, that's weird.
I want to put a link in the
You saw
description
that, right?
to
Yeah,
a charity that everybody can donate to
The
to
fucking
help for the
Indian
bail
burial
funds of the people that are getting arrested in these protests. So that will be in your description. And yeah, just be a good freaking human, dude.
For sure.
And make sure y'all read articles before y'all start reposting
Not
shit.
just the headlines. Read the
Yeah,
whole
don't
article.
you because you have to read into it because fucking, the
The
media
Onion, yeah.
will mix and construe things to make it look a certain way. And I'm not just saying one specific media; it's doing it by
Okay.
itself again.
All right.
But
We gotta
yeah,
stop.
you get it. Just make sure you read up, stay educated. Cheers.
All
We
right,
will see
y'all.
y'all next week.
Next week,
Yes.
4 o'clock.
Yeah, take a look. Why was that doing it?